Overcoming the Fear of Speaking English, a Story of Courage. Meet Ria, a girl with a fear. Ria was a bright 22-year-old from a small town in India. Though she excelled academically, one thing always held her back: the fear of speaking English. In school, she had memorized grammar rules and passed exams, but speaking English in public terrified her. Every time she opened her mouth to speak, her mind went blank, and her heart raced. Her fear grew worse when she started college, where many students were fluent in English. She avoided group discussions, sat quietly in class, and dreaded being asked questions by the professor. Even when she knew the answers, her fear of making mistakes stopped her from speaking up. One day, she missed a presentation because of her anxiety. Sitting alone in the college library, she realized she couldn't run from this fear forever. If I want to achieve my dreams, she thought, I need to overcome this. 2. The turning point, a new perspective. Ria decided to share her struggle with her professor, Mr. Sharma. I want to speak English confidently, but I'm scared. What if I make mistakes? She asked. Mr. Sharma smiled kindly. Ria, everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. Think of a baby learning to walk. It falls, stumbles, and still gets back up. English is the same. Your fear will go away only if you practice and allow yourself to make mistakes. He gave her a piece of advice that stuck with her: don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. 3. Taking the first step. Following Mr. Sharma's advice, Ria decided to start small. Every day, she stood in front of a mirror and spoke to herself for 5 minutes. At first, it felt strange, and she stumbled over her words. But she reminded herself, it's okay to make mistakes. Gradually, she became more comfortable hearing herself speak in English. She also kept a small diary where she jotted down new words or phrases she wanted to use. Each day, she picked one new word and made a sentence with it, saying it aloud until it felt natural. Finding a speaking partner. Ria knew she couldn't improve without real conversations, so she found a speaking buddy in her class, her friend Aisha, who was also working on her English. They made a deal. Every afternoon, they would speak to each other only in English, even if it meant making mistakes and laughing at themselves. At first, their conversations were filled with awkward pauses and nervous giggles. But they kept going. They talked about simple things: how the day went, their favorite TV shows, and weekend plans. The more they practiced, the easier it became. Embracing mistakes. One day, during a class debate, Ria raised her hand for the first time. Her heart pounded, but she reminded herself, it's okay if I make mistakes. I'm learning. When it was her turn to speak, she made a small grammatical error. A few students giggled, and for a moment, she felt like running out of the room. But then, she remembered something Mr. Sharma had told her: Mistakes are proof that you are trying. She took a deep breath, smiled, and continued speaking. By the end of the debate, the professor praised her effort, saying, "That's the spirit, Ria. The more you speak, the better you'll get." Immersing in the language. To immerse herself further in English, Ria began watching English TV shows with subtitles. At first, it was difficult to follow the conversations, but she didn't give up. She kept a notebook nearby, pausing the show to write down unfamiliar words. She also joined an online language exchange platform, where she chatted with people from different countries. These conversations helped her understand different accents and made her more comfortable speaking with strangers. Speaking in public. After a few months of practice, Ria felt much more confident. The real test came when she was asked to give a presentation in class. Standing in front of her classmates, Ria felt her nerves return. Her hands shook slightly, and her voice wavered at the beginning. But then she reminded herself, "I've practiced for this. I can do it." She took a deep breath, smiled, and spoke slowly. She focused on her message, not on being perfect. To her surprise, the words flowed naturally. When she finished, the class erupted in applause, and her professor gave her a thumbs up. The transformation. Ria's fear of speaking English didn't disappear overnight, but each time she spoke, she felt a little braver. She realized that confidence wasn't about being flawless, it was about being okay with not being perfect. By the end of the semester, Ria was participating actively in class discussions, speaking up in group projects, and even mentoring other students who were struggling with English. Her classmates admired her progress and often asked her for tips on improving their own speaking skills. The lesson learned. Ria's journey taught her an important lesson: fear fades when you face it. She learned that mistakes were not the enemy, they were part of the process. By taking small, consistent steps, practicing with friends, and immersing herself in the language, she transformed from a fearful speaker to a confident communicator. Final words. Months later, Ria gave a speech at her college farewell. She spoke fluently and confidently in English, sharing her story of overcoming fear. "I used to think that speaking English was about being perfect," she said. "But now I know it's about trying, making mistakes, and learning from them." As the audience applauded, Ria smiled, realizing how far she had come. English was no longer a source of fear but a tool for connecting with the world. Moral of the story. The story of Ria shows that anyone can overcome the fear of speaking English with persistence and the right mindset. It's not about becoming perfect but about making progress, one word and one conversation at a time.